I know a boy just like you. This is a powder puff full of glitter. Seemed like an appropriate thing. Now there's little flecks of glitter flying in the air. I don't think you can even see the glitter on camera. Sad Ghost Studios. I love that name. I bet Halloween this year is gonna suck. Okay, maybe I'm just in a bad mood. The job interview is over now at least, but it went just as well as all the others have lately, which is not well. And besides, I'm right. No doubt this Halloween I'll be stuck at home with my siblings all night with nothing else to do. The street hasn't made much of an effort to dress itself up for the season. Either it's only a few days until Halloween, but all I can see is a few badly carved jack-o'-lanterns up on one side of the apartment windows and a piece of orange tinsel blowing limply in the wind. I'd forgotten it was even that close to Halloween until today. To be honest, when one of the interviewers asked me if I was dressing up this year, damn, it's getting dark. I should have called home before I left, really, but it's too late now. Now I'm almost there. My family would be pissed that I'm not home already, but it's not my fault the job interview ran so late. Not that I'll get it, or that I really want to get it, but I have to keep applying for everything I see, I guess. Ugh, never mind. I shoved my earbuds deeper into my ears and crossed the street, heading into the front yard of the abandoned warehouse on a sprawling corner lot. Wire digs into my palm as I hop the fence. It's a bit of a drop to the other side, and I always end up with the weeds caught in my shoelaces. But the shortcut around the front gate and across the warehouse's car park is quicker. A hike through the abandoned warehouse yard is kind of spooky, but it's worth it to not have to walk all the way around the corner and down the laneway, even if the asphalt of the car park is nearly invisible underneath blown-in sand and weeds. Saves a couple minutes walk anyway, and I've always kind of liked this old place. Even though it's crumbling, it feels kind of like an old friend somehow. Except it doesn't. Not today. I cut through the yard this time, more often than I'd like to admit to my parents, but something's different this time. I'm not sure if it was just a breeze, but the hairs on the back of my neck go up all at once, but it's probably nothing. I've walked this way a million times. I amble further along the left arm of the warehouse that reaches around the corner of the block and into the car park, but unlike any of the other million times I've walked toward the corner, though, I can see light. Soft golden light filtering through the building's dusty windows and around the pitted bricks of the corner wall. My head whips around and my headphones fall straight out of my ears. Before I have time to shamble in the dirt from them, I realize I can hear voices coming from around the corner, too. As much as I do value my own safety, and lingering around an abandoned warehouse after dark is hardly smart, I can't help myself. Instead of backing away, I go stock still and listen. So, like I was saying, I still think the theme for this year is a bit too vague. It isn't! We went through the whole list and this was the best one! Shouldn't have used up all our creativity in the first few years, huh? What on earth are they talking about? Why would you go check? There's just people inside a warehouse having a conversation. You fucking nosy. I go to peek around the side wall, which is just one eye, not my whole body. I'm not stupid. And then I finally see it. I can see their faces in the dark. There's two silhouettes in the yard behind the warehouse, seeming to belong to whoever was having an argument I overheard. There's also some kind of big dark shape looming behind them. Might be a bush or a tree because it's moving, though there's no breeze. The golden light is coming from behind the figures, where it's a tiny campfire, which has to be illegal this time of year. Also, I'm pretty sure this warehouse is private property, so that's 2 strikes in the illegal column for this group of weirdos. Then the shape behind the pair moves. In the dim light, I finally put together that the shape is a horse? A tall black one with a mane and tail that fall in soft ringlets and a coat so shiny it even reflects the dim orange firelight. Okay, so I have a lot of questions. I'm busy looking for the third person because I heard 3 voices, unless one of them was practicing their ventriloquy or something, when the missing third voice comes straight out of the horse's mouth. I don't know about your creativity, but I'm pretty sure I wrote pretty much the whole list this time around, so you can hardly talk. I don't mean that as a metaphor, by the way. The horse tosses its mane as it speaks, pawing at the ground in irritation as it flicks its tail toward one of the other silhouettes. Then it really is unmistakable. That's a talking horse. Okay. Before I can catch myself, I go skittering backwards a step because what the fuck? My foot catches on an abandoned twisted scrap of metal on the ground, because of course it does. The metal goes crashing past the wall into the open with the loudest noise I think I've heard in my life. What was that? I think we got company. Want me to deal with it? Footsteps are coming closer. No thanks, actually. I don't want another statue to lug around. What does that even mean? I can't seem to make myself move, and there's no way I could run all the way back to the street and hurdle the fence in time anyway. So I just cower close to the shadow of the wall, hoping somehow they'll miss me. Yes, please make them stop wiggling all threateningly like that. For the last time, you're not allowed to deal with it anyway. Like, legally, it's murder. The word murder reverberates in my ears like a shockwave, and I swallow past what feels like a brick in my throat. This can't be good. People who hang out in abandoned warehouses after dark aren't usually chill, friendly types, right? I don't know, this is a visual novel and they have a talking horse. It sounds like they might be friendly types. I squish myself further into a crack in the wall as 3 humanoid silhouettes come around the corner, one of them carrying their phone like a torch. They're adorable. I love them. All of them. They're led by someone dressed in dark, kind and fancy clothing. She looks wet for some reason. Are you the horse? And I think there are plants in her hair, kelp or riverweed, twined with the strands. Why are you wet if you're the horse? Where's the horse? Are you the horse? You look like a dog. You're not the horse, you're Medusa. Oh, look at their little they-them button. Now they're closer, I can see that the other 2 are hardly normal either. Taller one has wolf-like ears, slender and tall, sprouting from the top of his head, and now that he's away from the fireplace, I can see that he's glowing. Eerie green light is sleeping from his eyes, and from his mouth when he opens his feet. That's neat. The other is shorter and dressed in a way that's almost threateningly cool, or at least it would be if all the yellow snakes sprouting from their head weren't completely for the fear factor. I can already tell that they see me, but nobody seems to be doing anything too threatening yet, at least. Ignoring the others, the taller one in the center with the ears steps close to me past the other 2. I break out in a sweat. He's very tall, whether he means to or not. He's looming over me. Hi! That was friendlier than I expected. What's your name? What? Hi, my name's Sleuthot, she, her pronouns, thanks. So, you're not human. Good start. No shit. Did you miss the part where I was a talking horse just then? Or... Yeah, so what's up with that? Despite how weirdly calm I managed to keep my voice, my heart is beating in my throat, but for the next few seconds they all just kind of stand there. The one who is used to be a horse folds her arms, somehow both furiously and perfectly disinterested. Could one of you tell me what's going on here? I just noticed that the taller one has a tail and it's wagging furiously. That's adorable. It's so nice to meet you, Sleuthot. I'm Cormac. He looks over to his left expectantly, but she's ignoring all 3 of us now. And this here is Morag. Guess we're doing introductions. I'm Eseth. This is feeling much more like a chat around the water cooler than the horrific supernatural murder scene I was expecting. Not to be that guy, but Cormac, are you a werewolf or what? I'll get to the one with the snakes in a minute. Yeah, that. We're all monster folk. Demi-humans, to be exact. Myths and legends are less mythical than you might expect. Morag here is a kelpie, Irish water spirits who can shapeshift into horses. Ah, that makes sense. We drown people way less often than the myths say, I swear. And Eseth is a gorgon, if you didn't guess. That's what they're called. I can never remember. I should have known that from Monster Prom, but I haven't exactly seen you around. What are you all doing back here? Apart from not attacking me on sight, which is kind of what I've been expecting since they came around the corner. We're the organizing committee for the Warehouse Haunted House. Never heard of it. Cormac almost looks offended. Well, we're the only premier destination for spooky seasonal entertainment in the whole city. We've been the highest rated local haunted house on Yarp and Hex Door for 3 years running. You've really never heard of the Warehouse? I mean, I know what a warehouse is, at least. We're standing right next to one. No, I can just hear that you're spelling it wrong in your head. It's warehouse with an E. What? Why? It was a pun. The theme of the first warehouse was werewolves, spooky howling noises, wolf silhouettes stalking each group of people. The whole shebang. I didn't mind the name then, but it stuck and now it makes no sense. It's only half a joke. Morag, for the last time, we're not changing the name. It's still a pun anyway, not like he stopped being a werewolf after the first year. The snakes on top of Eseth's head all point right, like they want to gesture towards Cormac but can't be bothered moving their arms. Yes, but the public don't know that, do they? I hope not. Present company notwithstanding. Oh, that's me. Besides, Cormac, you're not the only one who has dealt with all the emails and comments asking what the name means. I'm sick to death of it. Oh, I can help answer the emails if you want. I love talking to new people. Yes, you do. On second thought, never mind. I'll deal with it. I am in love with Cormac. I'm exposing myself too much. I love everything about him. What do you mean? I thought you were really snowed under this year. Yes, but I don't think your help would actually solve that. Are you forgetting all the times you told people you'd answer them and then left them on read for weeks from our official account? Or the time you told a lady she could bring her dog, then it smelled you as a threat and nearly ruined the whole thing hunting you down? Cormac's ears flicked to the side, distressed.
Anyway, Sleuthbot, I still can't believe you never heard of us.
We moved in just after Halloween last year, so I guess you'd already left. And it's not like this place looks like the premier seasonal entertainment spot, you know? I'd be offended, but that's kind of the aesthetic we're going for, so... Cormac turns back toward the other two.
So, what do we do about this?
I'm right here. And best we keep an eye on her, right? My cheeks go pale. I don't want to know what she means by that.
Don't look so afraid. We wouldn't do anything horrible to you, I promise.
Mark and Eseth don't look like they'd totally endorse that statement. But weirdly, I kind of trust Cormac. It's hard to tell if it's just an act or not, but he comes off much more like an overgrown puppy than a scary werewolf.
We just need to keep the fact we're real monsters under wraps, and that's all. You can do that for us, right, Sleuthbot?
He kind of reminds me of Scott from Monster Prom. I'm bringing up Monster Prom again, but like... I'm sure everyone else can see the similarities. It's not just me. The fact she didn't immediately start screaming when she saw us is probably a good sign. I feel like you might be putting a lot of faith in someone you met minutes ago. She's not wrong. Well, why don't you stick around the next few days, Sleuthbot? Maybe help us with the haunted house? Oh no, I don't.
Eseth, that's a wonderful idea.
Cormac's voice runs over Morag's like a freight train, but I get the feeling she's used to that.
If Sleuthbot is dog-tired from helping us set up, then she won't have time to plot about revealing us or gather evidence or any of that.
Dog-tired. Morag rolls her eyes, but I doubt Cormac even noticed that. He's too wound up about the wonderful idea, I guess.
It's not like there's nothing in it for you too, Sleuthbot. Think about all the cool kinds of monsters you'll get to meet in a totally safe way. That's a novelty for humans, right?
I mean, also, legally we have to pay you, so there's that.
Oh good, because I don't take work for exposure, even when it's for supernatural monster folk who may or may not kill me if I say no.
Not to give you any ideas, but why aren't you just, like, bribing me or throwing me into the river or something? Morag makes us avoid murder if we can. She rolls her eyes, reaching across Cormac and flicking one of Eth's snakes between the eyes. The whole chorus of snakes hisses back at her. I make a concerted effort to be extremely cool about it and not resort to my first instinct, which is at the very least scream, "That's a lot of snakes." Aside from murder being, morally wrong, dealing with the legal system is so much extra paperwork.
Making you work Halloween night is the only way I can think of to make sure you don't go to the police before we have time to bump out of the warehouse and get out of town.
Plus, a wage is kind of like a bribe, right? This all sounds flimsy at best, but I do need the money, so I don't want to look any further into this than I need to. Here goes, I guess. Okay, I'm in. Honor any human member of the monster committee or whatever. Cormac's tail wags excitedly, and even Morag looks kind of mollified. So now what?
Oh yeah, what do we have to do to her then?
Don't look at me, I've had the task roster sorted for ages. You both have the link of the spreadsheet. You should have at least read it. Well, we have 3 days to fill for her. We do have a lot to do, but no one thinks that would last that long.
I'd say you could work ticket sales since you pull off being human the best.
She is human, you moron.
Anyway, Clarissa loves that. I could never take it away from her.
Eseth leans over to me to fill me in, all conspiratorial. Clarissa's a succubus. All that positive energy of excited and nervous people is like heaven for her at the ticket booth. Also, she's an extrovert, I guess. Can't relate. Maybe Sleuthbot could sort of tag along with one of us then. The next few days at least, until the actual haunt on Halloween night.
Kinda like an understudy.
I mean, not really. More like an apprentice, right?
I've always wanted one of those.
I'm amazed they get anything done at all with how much they bicker and how easily distracted Cormac is. Their meetings must go on for hours. Anyways, I've bitten off more than I can chew this year. I could use the help. Well, so could I. Have just as much. We've been behind by somebody's negligence. No points for guessing who she just glared daggers at. He doesn't even blink, though. Either very unobservant or very used to it, and turns to me instead.
Well, you choose then. Do you want to work with her the next few days? I want to work with Himbo Werewolf.
The
werewolf pumps his fist into the air. Yes, I've always wanted to have an apprentice. I'll teach you everything I know.
So, not very much? Cormac turns to Morag with a blank look.
What do you mean?
Great, that gives me a lot of confidence about my choice of supervisor. Never mind. Cormac shrugs and twirls back around to face me.
Anyway, meet me back here tomorrow morning so you can start learning about all the hard work that goes into a haunted house behind the scenes.
Sure. Soon after, once all the arrangements are figured out, the 3 committee members trip dirt over the fire, and their meeting over. I wave and then head home, finally finishing my usual cut corner path across the yard of the warehouse. Sorry, warehouse. At least I have a job now, I guess. On the way to the warehouse the next morning, I find myself stopping just outside the fence. I don't know if I've fully come to terms with everything that happened last night. Not only did my preconceptions about the world get completely upended by meeting 3 living, breathing cryptids, but then they offered me a job, kind of. Reflecting on it in light of day, I don't even feel like I can be completely sure it wasn't all a dream. If I hop over this fence again, will I step back into the world of the supernatural, or will it just be the same abandoned warehouse it always was? I guess there's only one way to find out. My feet sink into the weeds on the other side, and I stumble for a moment before picking up the pace toward the building. Inside, each of the 3 people I met yesterday seems to be busy with a different task. Morag is seated at the makeshift desk filling out some paperwork, while Esith is up on a ladder apparently doing something to the lights. Cormac is seated cross-legged on the floor in front of him, a big blocky laptop covered in peeling stickers. As I approach him, I see his big ears on top of his head perk up. A moment later, his entire body follows them, and he leaps to his feet, almost knocking over the laptop. What's up? His green eyes are wide and shining, and I can see his fangs and his toothy grin. Not much. What are we working on today?
We're doing absolutely the most important part of getting ready to run a haunted house, of course.
The most important part? I wonder what he means. Is it the costumes?
Nope, that's Ethith's department.
Is it the special effects?
Nope, also Esith.
Sounds like Ethith does a lot of work around here.
Guess again.
Is it summoning some spooky ghosts?
What?
I don't know, do you have like a ritual for summoning some real ghosts to haunt the place or something?
Well, that's a good idea. Maybe we should try that next year. But no, that's not it.
Okay, so tell me, what is it?
We're working on... He jumps and throws his arms like a hyperactive magician. Marketing!
Really? That's the most important part?
Of course, there's no point in any of the other work we do without marketing. No one knows the warehouse is here, no one will come.
I guess you're right, I just thought we might be doing something more spooky.
Well, we want to make our posts look spooky. And then when we've had them printed, we can spend tomorrow walking around town and putting them up all over the place. And they can be spooky too. Sometimes you see real weirdos hanging out downtown. One time I definitely saw a ghost on the college campus. He looked really pale and sick, and he was wearing super old-fashioned clothes.
That just sounds like an average student to me. But the more pressing issue is that the timing of this marketing campaign sounds a little off. You haven't put up any posters around town yet? Isn't that cutting it kind of close? It's almost Halloween already. Maybe that explains why I hadn't heard this place when it's supposedly so popular.
Well, you might think that, but actually studies show that most of our target audience of high school and college students don't like to make plans too far in advance. They prefer to be more spontaneous and are much more likely to attend an event that they just heard about right before Halloween.
Really? Morag interjects without looking up from her paperwork. He's making that up. He just forgot to do it earlier.
I didn't forget, I was prioritizing.
As his voice echoes down from the rafters, he says that every time he forgets something.
Shut up. Look, Sleuth Thought, the important thing is we only have a few hours to make the best poster ever, and I have to send it to the printers in time for our mission tomorrow. Are you ready? Do you have what it takes?
Sure, I mean, I took a couple art classes once.
Perfect. Take a look at what I'm working on over here.
He tilted his laptop at an angle, and I crouched down to get a better look. Squinting at the screen, I see he's made some creative design choices. What's going on with the fonts here?
I'm glad you asked. So this one at the top kind of reminds you of ancient Egypt, right? Like tombs and mummies and stuff. Scary. And the other one with smaller information on the bottom is like writing in a comic book. It looks cool and exciting. Bet if I saw those choice of fonts on another poster, I'd want to find out what was it advertising for sure.
He grins eagerly. Yeah, this is Papyrus and Comic Sans, right? You're just advertising to Undertale fans.
How'd you know? You must be a font expert.
I chose my words carefully, not wanting to dampen his enthusiasm too much. They're kind of popular, a lot of people use them, but a lot of other people think they're a bit cheesy. If you put both of them on a poster, you might get some people making fun of it. Cormac shrugs.
So, there's one thing I've learned in my life is that some people make fun of you no matter what you do. You're better off just trying not to worry about it. You can't please everyone. You know what? Put the Papyrus and Comic Sans on there. Go for it, baby.
I'm not happy about bringing up more Comic Sans into the world, but he does have a point. It's impossible to make a perfect poster absolutely no one will think looks bad. Might as well let him have fun with it. I'm sure there are plenty of people who don't mind those fonts as much as I do. Oh fuck, I just dropped my slime. I'm glad my leg got it. You know what? I hadn't thought about it that way. Let's keep the fonts the way they are.
Yes, this poster is gonna be great! I can't wait to hang it up all over town!
Yeah, me too. But before that, I was wondering about the color scheme too. It's a bit unconventional for Halloween.
He nods vigorously. Red, I want to make sure I put lots of red for blood because that's scary. And then I figured contrasting colors are good, right? So I put in some green too. It'd be like creepy monster slime. I think it'll really stand out from all the orange and black posters out there.
It looks a little Christmassy, my guy. Well, I understand your reasoning, but red and green kind of typical Christmas color scheme, right? Doesn't seem right for Halloween. People might overlook the poster thinking it's a Christmas event advertising early. His glowing eyes widen with dawning realization.
Oh, I don't celebrate Christmas, but I hadn't even thought about that.
Whether he celebrates or not, I'm surprised he could somehow escape the typical association between red and green and Christmas. Does he even go shopping during the entire month of December? At least he was willing to accept the criticism.
Do you think we could switch to more traditional Halloween colors instead?
I examined the screen. Maybe keeping the green would be okay, but we could replace the red with orange. Maybe even add a touch of blue?
Then it's still unique. I like it.
Great, let's do that. The last thing I wanted to ask about was the logo. I watch his face intently for any reaction, hoping I'm not about to ruin his artistic dreams. Did you draw this yourself? He smiles sheepishly, or maybe I should say wolfishly.
Okay, I know I'm not a great artist. It's a bit rough, but I think it's okay.
He leaps into a dramatic pose, the light from his glowing hair dancing his already shining eyes.
It's got heart, truly represents the work that Morag and Eseth and I put into organizing the warehouse every year. Because it's not perfect, we keep doing our best. That's what the warehouse is all about.
I furrow my brows and peer more closely at the drawing on the screen. I'm not really seeing any symbolism. It's really cute though. Still, I'm charmed by his description. I don't want to make him feel like it's bad art if it means that much to him. Maybe the rough aesthetic will catch some people's eyes. Okay, you've sold it. We'll keep your logo. Because of the heart. He pumps his fist in the air.
Yeah, I know all the feelings I poured into it will get through to people.
I hope so.
Talking about that gets me thinking about the early days of the warehouse. It may look a hugely successful local business right now, but there was a time when it was really just a passion project by a group of friends.
Is that so, Cormac? Is that so?
Still clenching his fist, Cormac stares out into the distance. Well, as much distance as there is before you hit the wall of the warehouse anyway. Back when all I had was a dream of bringing the people of this town the Halloween experience of their lives. Only one person believed in me, my best friend Morag. That is, until we met Eseth, and the trio of the warehouse visionaries was complete.
He turns back toward me, dropping a bit of his dramatic monologue act.
Oh man, let me tell you the story of how we met Eseth. It's hilarious. So Morag and I
would love to hear that story. I blurt the words out under false enthusiasm as quickly as I can before he can start another tangent, but maybe you can tell me later? We still have a lot of work to do on this poster.
Oh yeah, the poster, let's do it!
He flaunts his back onto the ground, landing with a cross-legged position. I don't know how he isn't in pain from throwing himself at the concrete floor that hard. He's a dog. Maybe it's werewolf power. Okay, let's get to work. Even if we're only making one major change, it might take longer than we think to get it done. You said we only have a few hours, right? We'll need to come up with a plan and stay focused.
You sound like you're taking charge. The apprentice has become the master.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to boss you around. I just like to make sure everything is organized.
No, it's perfect.
Yeah, Cormac definitely needs someone to keep him focused. I blush at another interjection from one of the other organizers. Was she listening from over there the whole time? I hope she thinks I'm doing okay at my job.
It's true, you seem way more organized than I am, so we make a great team. You can be like my manager, and I can be the eccentric rock star you need to drag away from parties to make sure he doesn't sleep through his show the next day.
Don't indulge the rockstar fantasy. You don't want to hear about what happened the time that Cormac tried to start a band.
Like and subscribe was a great band! Oh my god, that name!
Speaking of which, you can like and subscribe to my channel. You can also check out my TikTok and my Twitter and my Twitch in the description if you wanna.
You're just jealous that you're not a one-hit wonder.
Sure, you can even call that song a hit.
It was on the charts, technically.
Hey, about that whole keeping focus thing.
Right.
Cormac sits up straight at attention.
What are we doing first, boss?
Well, I lean over Cormac's laptop to the point what I think we should do first. He nods and begins to make some changes according to my instructions. I do my best to keep him on track when he gets sidetracked, and he shows some real proficiency with image editing once he really gets down to it. Over the next little while, the final poster begins to take shape.
Huh? That's what it looks like? Haunted house Halloween night, $5 in advance, $7 at the door. It's not perfect, but it looks a lot better than it did earlier. It's not very spooky. Hey Mora, I guess it. Check this out. He hoists the computer into the air and runs a lap around the warehouse to show them both. Be careful with the hat. I guess he can be as cavalier as he wants with his own electronics, but that one also has the only copy of the poster we've been working on all morning. I watch gritted teeth as he haphazardly shoves it into each of his friends' faces while in motion. Somehow it manages to stay balanced, even as he skids to a halt with dangling from one hand. Can you send that file to the printers, like, right now, before you do anything else? Sure. He attempts to fate further by once more hurling himself onto the ground, laptop in hand, before opening up his email. And sent! I sigh with relief. I can't wait to get these all put up all over town. Where do you live, Sleep? Thought I can meet you there tomorrow morning. We don't need to come all the way here when we're gonna be heading downtown instead. I can start my family might react to a werewolf with glowing green eyes turning up at the door tomorrow. Can we make it in the afternoon instead? They shall be out of the house by then. I don't like waking up too early anyway. Okay. I give Cormac my address and make sure he also writes down some very specific directions. I can definitely picture him getting lost and wandering around for hours, and I don't need to start any rumors about the neighborhood cryptid. Our work done for the day, I say my goodbyes to my strange new coworkers and leave the warehouse. Even though all I did was spend a few hours working on a laptop, I still feel mentally and physically exhausted. I'm ready to drop into bed by the time I get home. Cormac's antics are a lot to keep up with. A furious rapping at my door wakes me up the next morning, accompanied by shrill voices of my younger siblings. Sleuth Thought, get up! There's some weird guy with really freaky contact lenses at the door for you. Huh? Yeah, since when do you hang out with furries? What? Okay, I'm up! I stumble out of bed and hastily throw on some clothes while rushing past my siblings to answer the door. Hey! Cormac, is everything okay? I thought you'd come by later in the afternoon. I look on my shoulder, hoping he's about to launch into a tale about some supernatural mishap he needs my help to solve. I can't actually see them, but I can sense my siblings lurking around the corner, eavesdropping for gossip. Yeah, everything's good. I just got really excited about the posters, so I want to put them up right away. Look, I picked them up as soon as the print shop opened. They're so cool. He just had a big plastic bag on the ground beside him. I can't say that cool is the exact word I would use, and more importantly, dude, this is not an emergency. You didn't have to wake me up. Or give my siblings a whole year's worth of reasoning to make fun of me. Oh, is it too early? His face falls, and he stops fidgeting around so much. I'm sorry. I'm naturally nocturnal, so I don't have a good sense for when other people are sleeping. Right now, it's like staying up late for me, and I'm so pumped, I'm ready to stay up all day. His mood lifts again almost instantly, and the bouncing resumes. I did bring you coffee. He thrusts a large paper cup toward me. Thanks. Well, that almost makes up for it. I accept the cup and take a sip, eyeing his non-stop movements. How much coffee have you had? None. This is my all-natural energy level. I love him. Terrifying. So are we doing the posters or what? I sigh. Well, alright, but we need to have a talk in the future about how early it's acceptable to wake me. Okay, I love future talks. Let's go. Cormac throws the back of posters over his shoulder and sets off at almost a run. I'm gonna work! I called my unseen siblings as I grabbed my wallet and phone and followed the speedy werewolf out the door. Fortunately, I have time to catch up with him when he screeches to a halt at the street corner. Almost forgot. That's horrifying. He pulls the hood of his sweater up, covering up his ears. I have to make sure I have my wolf features out in public. You couldn't have thought that about that before knocking on my door? My family's gonna ask a ton of questions when I get home, you know. Just say it was a Halloween costume. At least they seem to have assumed that he's wearing a costume, so I'm not gonna have to explain the existence of the supernatural just yet. I'm still bracing myself for an earful from my parents about this weird crowd I'm getting involved with. Oh, that's right. Your family doesn't know about demi-humans, do they? He pauses to staple a poster to a telephone pole before continuing down the street at his constant brisk pace. I'm so used to hanging out with Morgan and Esther all the time that I hadn't even thought about it. I've never had very many human friends. I struggle to keep up as we approach the neighborhood park. He's running to climb that tree, just watch in horror. Before I can say anything, Cormac has tossed the sack of posters down to the ground and sprinted into the park. He first planned to use a running start to leave and grab the tree branch. It's at least a couple of feet higher than he'd normally be able to reach from the ground. And there's a moment as he kicks off in the air with an unexpected grace. It's almost believable he's going to make it. I hold my breath. Time seems to slow down, his hoodie rippling in the wind. And then his fingers just barely graze him out of the branch and he crashes down to the dirt on his face. Oof. Cormac, are you okay? I rush to his side, grabbing the discarded posters in my way. Fortunately, by the time I reach him, he's already getting back up his feet, readjusting his hood and brushing dirt off his clothes. Yeah, I'm fine. Don't worry about it. This happens all the time. I shudder to imagine how often. But since he isn't hurt, I shag and head back to the park's main path. He follows me, seemingly more capable of sticking to a slower pace that I've taken the lead. Sorry, what were you gonna say earlier before I saw the tree? I think back to a few moments ago.
Oh yeah, well, you said you've never had many human friends. I was just gonna say that I've never had a werewolf friend either, so I guess we're even.
Oh, fun fact! Cormac skips a few steps in enthusiasm. I'm not technically a werewolf.
Really? I feel my face flush. I hope that his hood obscures his peripheral vision enough that he can't see it. I guess I shouldn't have assumed, but
It's totally fine. I mean, it's called the warehouse and everything. That's more of a convenient pun. I don't really mind if people think I'm a werewolf. I do have a lot in common with them. Some of my distant cousins are part werewolf, actually, but I'm really a Barghest.
a Barghest? I've never heard of that.
Not a lot of people have. Let's get some posters up over there, and then I'll tell you all about it.
We arrive at the central courtyard of the park with a circle of benches and several community notice boards covered in flyers of other events. Cormac picks out a few good spots for our own advertisements before leading me into a less populated area among some trees. We take a seat in a partially hidden bench, and Cormac scans for any observers before removing the hood in his sweatshirt once more. Fur on his ears has been visibly smoothed down, and he reaches both hands up to ruffle it.
This is much more comfortable.
The hood doesn't hurt your ears, does it? I wouldn't want to force him to be in physical discomfort on my account. Then again, he's the one who wanted to get up and run around town this early anyway.
No, it's fine. I always make sure to buy sweaters with nice big comfy hoods. It just feels better to be more free. I wouldn't wear any clothes at all if society said we had to. I couldn't help but picture Cormac dancing on the public park fully nude. I wonder if he has a typical masculine human body or if there are some more wolf characteristics hidden underneath his clothes. What are you thinking about? Oh. At the very least, I imagine he must have an extra hairy chest. I looked down his t-shirt, feeling a little more curious about it now. But I guess I should stick to the less personal questions first.
So, were you gonna tell me what the difference is between a werewolf and I trail off not wanting to pronounce the new word I just learned wrong. A Barghest. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
He leans toward me, his necklace jingling. So one of the main differences is that a werewolf will become a wolf when there's a full moon no matter what. They can't really control it. Barghest can shapeshift into wolf form too, but it's not on a specific cycle like that. Not all Barghests are in full control all the time. Some of them might still instinctively shift as a reaction to stress or surprise or something, but usually the more practice we get, the more we're able to transform at will.
So you're choosing to be in human form right now? You could just turn into a wolf if you wanted?
Basically, yeah.
Is it difficult to do?
It's like any kind of exercise, really. If you get out of shape, it might take a lot more effort and tire me out. But I do my wolf workouts pretty regularly, so it's no big deal for me. He grins and flexes a bicep. I can't tell if it's actually especially toned or not since he's wearing such a thick hoodie.
So, when you transform, you're still totally conscious and everything. Same guy, just in wolf form. Cormac's personality actually makes a lot of sense when I imagine him as a big dog.
Yep, so you might think that makes us less scary than werewolves, right? A werewolf on a full moon is going totally feral, but a Barghest is still a sentient person. Won't attack you for no reason.
Right. I hadn't even considered the possibility I might encounter a wild werewolf until now. I'm going to start checking the phase of the moon before I go out at night.
But you see...
Cormac leans toward me again with a sudden sharpness to the shine in his eyes. The wind kicks up almost as if on cue, making me glad I'm also wearing a hoodie.
In a way, that means a Barghest can be even scarier, because you know, if a Barghest does something violent, it's not just animal instinct, it's an act of real and terrifying malice.
I can feel Cormac's breath on my throat, and I find myself leaning away, shifting towards the edge of the bench.
There's an old story about an evil Barghest like that, you know? A knight went looking for it, a cave in the cliffs. He thought he could defeat it, but of course he was a fool. What can a human do against the raw power of a spirit wolf? On the steep fells of night shone the fair moonlight, and its beams illumined the dale, and a shivery sheen clothed the forest green, which sighed to the moaning gale.
Is he reciting a poem? Since when does Cormac, the guy who's proven to be dumb as a brick on several occasions throughout our entire short acquaintance, just casually memorize poetry? That's so mean. He's not dumb as a brick. It's so absurd that I almost have to laugh, but at the same time the scene he's describing is genuinely chilling. His deep voice resonates through the trees as he continues his performance, the wind seeming to increase in intensity along with him. It even looks overcast outside all of a sudden. Can Barghest control the weather? The more words that leave his lips, the more willing I am to believe that he can and does control anything he wants.
And a dreadful thing from the cliff did spring, and its wild bark thrilled around. Its eyes had the glow of the fires below. 'Twas the form of the spectre hound.
Ah! My involuntary shriek, the spell, if there ever was one, seems to be broken. The vicious wind had calmed back down to a gentle caress. The sun peeks out of the clouds once more, and Cormac tosses his head back in genuine, joyous laughter.
You should have seen your face. You're so scared. I can't believe it. I mean... I was just fucking with you. Barghests aren't scary at all. He wheezes, struggling to catch his breath. Really, you were a little scary right there, you know? Corners my mouth twitch, and soon I'm giggling along with him. That was so mean. I was really scared. You were scared of me? That moment just made up ghost story. Bargus are mostly really friendly. It's not obviously. Look at me. I'm not scary, am I? I can't believe that actually worked. As the clouds dissipate further and the sun warms our faces, Cormac puts a comforting arm around my shoulders. We relax on the bench together a few more minutes, laughing until we can't anymore. Eventually he stands up, stretches, and tucks his ears back into his hood. Okay, let's get back to work. He looks so funny with the hood on. Hey, isn't it my job to keep you on task? Cormac puffs out his chest. Well, since I was a little mean to you my prank so hard, I'm going to try to make up for it by being more responsible. For the rest of the day, at least.
I've learned my lesson now. I don't believe anything you say.
No, I'm totally serious. I'm gonna put up so many posters and try to not climb any trees. I promise.
Sure. His protestations about how hard he's going to work only last until we exit the park onto the main street on the other side of it and catch a sight of an interesting-looking building.
Hey, check this out! Parkour! No! I sprint after him once more and the plastic bag slips out of my hand. The wind picks it up again. A few of the posters lift into the air, wafting down the streets by me as if him to coax Cormac down from the windowsill. I guess that's one way to get them out where people will look at them. My phone's ringtone wakes me up the next morning. I groan as I force myself out of bed and begin groggily searching the room for the source of the sound. My feet are killing me after doing so much running around with Cormac yesterday. We did get the whole stack of posters up all over town eventually, but not without several more distractions. It was already getting dark out by the time I headed home to face my family scrutiny. At least Cormac told me that after I did all that work, I could take the next day off. Hey, did you sleep well? But now he's calling my phone for some reason. Right, I guess. In fact, he's video calling my phone. Who just does that without warning? I hope my hair isn't too messy. It's not too early to call, right? I made sure to wait until 10. I did, in fact, instruct him last night that if he ever wanted my help at the last minute again, 10 a.m. was the earliest that I wouldn't be mad about. I didn't expect him to follow those directions so soon, but I have to admit that according to what I told him, he's not technically doing anything wrong. It's fine. What's up? Well, I told Morag about all the great work we got done yesterday. As soon as he finished the sentence, his characteristic grin transformed into a bleary-looking frown. But then she reminded me that physical posters are only half the advertising job. Apparently, I'm also supposed to do something on the internet. I was thinking that. I'm like, who the fuck advertises with posters? Now, I know I gave you the day off, and I didn't want to bother you, but he looks over his shoulder before whispering into the phone. Sleuth thought, I really don't understand the internet. I need your help. I chuckle. I should have expected something like this. Okay, fine. Do you want me to come by the warehouse? Warehouse? And yes, please. I'll see you there. I sigh and survey the room for clean clothes to put on. Maybe a nice outfit Cormac hasn't seen before? No, who am I kidding? I wear the same hoodie every day. Cormac is the only one there when I arrive, hunched over his laptop on the floor again. I guess Morag and Nessith have gone out to take care of other tasks. Sleuth thought! He springs to his feet when he sees me, almost spilling the drink he's holding in one hand. I got you some coffee again. Thanks! Dealing with Cormac sometimes makes it feel like a net neutral in terms of my mood. He annoys me by waking me up early with far too much enthusiasm, but he makes up for it with nice little gestures like this. He watches eagerly as I take a sip, waiting for my reaction. It's good. Well, maybe it's better than net neutral. It is pretty nice to see his face light up when he succeeds in making me smile. I'm glad you like it. So, can you explain the internet to me? Morag says we have to make some posts and try to get some likes. He moves his fingers to symbol quotation marks as he speaks. She also says, I can't believe you forgot that, Cormac. We do it every year. I don't remember, though. Maybe I was distracted last year. That seems likely. Well, where does she want you to make these posts? Do you have social media accounts for the warehouse specifically? Or are we talking just personally posting on some community groups? He knits his brows. I think we had an account somewhere. I remember getting in trouble once for trying too many wrong passwords. Why do passwords have to be so complicated? Sleuth thought. They're always telling you that you need numbers and special characters. It's too much to remember. You never even think of good ones in the first place. I need someone else to do a password thinker-upper for me. Well, I don't know about that part, but I could set up some shiny new accounts for the warehouse in a few places and try to build more of an online presence. Okay, let's do some posts. For the next little while, I put together some social media pages for the warehouse using the logo Cormac allegedly put all of his heart into for the avatar. Cormac lifts over my shoulder, nodding with approval as I search for relevant groups and hashtags that share the information about the event. It's not nearly as exciting as the adventures the previous day, but it might be more efficient at getting the word out. Hang on, thinking about those adventures gives me an idea. Cormac, do we have any of the sets and costumes and stuff ready for tomorrow? We build a lot of sets tomorrow morning when some extra people come in to help. I bet Eseth has most of the costumes ready. Some props and stuff too. Why? Call them and see what we can use. I bet we could throw together a pretty good video trailer. Oh, like a preview for a movie, but the movie is us? Exactly. I'm thinking we get some good shots, the most creepy looking stuff we have, and I pause for a dramatic flourish. Maybe Cormac's theatrics are rubbing off on me. And wait, and you can read that scary Bargus poem. Cormac's jaw drops. I get to star in the movie? Well, it's not exactly a movie, but sure. I'll call Eseth right now. With Eseth's help,
We get some good shots that provide a preview of the attractions of the warehouse without giving too much away. The way they set the lighting up is perfect. Everything comes out looking super creepy as it should. Even though I've already heard the poem once before, I still get a bit of shiver down my spine when Cormac records the audio. It's amazing how intimidating he can make himself sound when his real personality is such an extreme contrast. For the last shot of the trailer, we decided to go with Cormac himself emerging from the shadows, staring down the camera with his glowing eyes. The mirror dissolves into a black screen displaying all the event information for tomorrow night. I post the link to all the places I can think of before letting out a deep sigh and lying down on the warehouse floor. I threw my slime again. It's getting dark outside already. I hope there's still enough time for some people to notice the cool video before the event tomorrow night. Cormac sits down next to Esith and rearranges the last of the props that they were using. Sorry I made you work so hard when it was supposed to be your day off. That's okay. The video was my idea anyway.
It was a great idea. I would never thought of something like that. You should be in charge of marketing every year. Well, if you want to, I mean.
I smile and try to imagine a future where I work on this haunted house with Cormac, Morag, and Esith every October. It's definitely not the kind of normal steady job my parents want me to get, but it might be nice.
Hey, has anyone watched the video yet? I want to see.
Probably not many people yet, but I'll check. I sit up and refresh the video page. We're actually getting a fair amount of comments already. Some of them are typical rudeness you get on the internet, but most of them are pretty positive. This looks fun. Is it weird to think the creepy guy at the end looks kind of hot? LOL. What? OMG, I know, right? Too spooky for me. Look, Cormac, people love you. So I tilt the screen so you can see it. One comment in particular catches my eye. Hang on, were you actually in a famous band that people recognize you from?
Yeah, didn't I mention like and subscribe? We can only ever made one album, but did pretty well in the local indie scene. Hang on a minute. His eyes dart between the relevant comment and the buttons just below the video like, and I get it now! I have so many questions, both in general ones about Cormac's pre-music career and the specific ones about how he managed to miss the pun in his own band name until now. But it'll have to wait for later, since it's already past the time for me to go home. I hope my brother doesn't eat my share of dinner before I get there again. I start to stand up and close my laptop, but Cormac stops me. Hang on just a second. I want to read all these comments.
Okay, but there's no food for me left when I get home. I'm sending you guys my takeout bill. Cormac nods, his attention still absorbed on the screen.
Well, this person says I'm hot.
But it's the same comment I just saw. They also called him creepy in the same sentence, but I'm glad he's focusing on the positive. I guess creepy would be a compliment when it's a trailer for a haunted house anyway.
Is that true?
You're asking for my opinion? Cormac turns to look at me, the laptop screen lighting up one half of his face while the other is in shadow. At least partially in shadow. He can never be fully covered in the darkness the way his bright green eyes and frontmost locks of his hair always create their own light. The same way constantly cheerful personality lights up any room, so that you can't help but be happy to be around him when he's acting totally ridiculous, or at least I can't. I mean, that's very subjective and depends on the person, and also, yes, I have to go now.
Okay.
This time he relinquishes control of the laptop more easily, and I slam it shut before scrambling to my feet and whirling towards the exit. As I approach the door with speed that rivals Cormac's exhausting walking pace, he merely calls out after me. Think you're hot too, Sleep thought maybe we should be in the next video next year. I bet we'd get even more comments. Yeah, good idea. I mumble something along the lines of thanks while staring at my shoes the whole walk out. Does he mean anything by that, or does he just call his friends hot all the time? Also, was Esith listening that whole time? It's the big day. D-Day, or H-Day? It's funny, I've spent all this time working with Cormac, but I have no real idea when the others have been up to all this time, or what to expect when I get to the warehouse. Sorry, warehouse. I gotta be better about that now that there are gonna be customers around. The sight of the warehouse makes me feel even more out of place. It's still early, very early for me, if not regular humans, or regular demi-humans for that matter. There seems to be a lot of activity happening inside as I approach the front gate, and I dither for a second, not knowing what to do. Do I find someone to ask, or just busy myself with whatever looks like it needs to get done? Thankfully, I spot a familiar pair of lupine ears bounding towards me through the front doors of the building. Cormac!
Sleep thought you made it.
Of course, gotta be there early for the big day, right? He flashed me with those trademark wide toothy grins. A grin that might have been threatening 3 days ago, but now I know much better than to take the sharp edge of those canine teeth seriously. Canine teeth.
You worrying about something, Sleep thought? Nervous?
Just thinking about your teeth. Super normal, like a regular person does all the time. Wondering what's gonna be doing today, actually. Wondering what I'm gonna be doing today, actually. Saved it.
Oh, that I remember. That's what Morag sent me to get you.
Why didn't she come herself then? She must have known he'd likely forget as soon as she asked him.
She's busy putting together different teams of people for different tasks and making sure everyone knows where the first aid kit and emergency exits are when they come in.
Oh, well, fair enough. I'm not sure I'd trust anyone else to take care of that, to be honest.
Anyway, she said to tell you that for a little while this morning, you're gonna be behind the ticket booth outside. Hadn't even noticed it on my way in, but Cormac points over the shoulder, and yep, there's a little pine booth overlooking the footpath outside the front of the warehouse. And then after that, you can help test out the haunt once we've done all the heavy lifting, though all the decorations won't be in yet. Then, we all eat dinner early before the haunt starts. That explains the receipt I spotted on Morag's desk for a very large, very expensive catering order. And during the actual haunt, what do you want me to do then? He hesitates for a second. Actually, we haven't decided. There's a couple spots that need filling, since Morag heard one of our regulars might be too sick to make it this year, but if everyone turns up, we might not need you at all. That'd kind of be an anticlimax, to be honest. That's nice and all, but I want to help. It'd be weird to be the only one here without a job doing the haunt itself. I feel like a token human being left out. I'll talk to the other two. We'll find you something to do, don't worry. I poke my head into the warehouse itself to say hi to Essie and Morag, who are oddly hard to find amid the crowd of other demi-humans moving things around. Then I retreat outside to the street, where I end up spending most of the morning running the ticket booth. Cormac told me earlier that we get the majority of our ticket sales as people arrive late at night, but a fair amount of people come by early to get a discount to make sure they can get enough tickets for a big group, or to just see what's going on over here. It's not the most exciting job, but at least I get to hear comments from some of the customers about what got them interested in the event. I'm so excited! This looks even better than last year! I'm gonna face my fears this Halloween and try not to scream. Do you guys know you spelled a warehouse wrong? Oh, spooky, you guys are inspired by that rumor about the ghost horse going around? No, I haven't heard that. A ghost horse, weirdly specific kind of rumor, right? I wonder where it came from. Maybe one of the demi-humans inside actually is the ghost horse. And it's probably for the better, then nobody can see into the warehouse from here. After a few hours, Morag comes to relieve me. There's probably the ghost horse. Hey, your turn to brave the chaos in there. She looks pale, even more than usual. I can imagine she's been flat out all morning trying to manage everyone coming in and out. Are you sure you want to be on the booth right now? I can keep going for a bit if you need a rest. She sits herself down next to me on the bench. I'll be fine. It's slow enough out here that basically is a break for me. Besides, Cormac needs your help inside if you still want to help him and Essa test the haunt. I shrug, make a mental note to get someone to ferry some food and water out for her later or something. Then I head inside. Turns out what Cormac meant by help us test the haunt is wander around the haunted house and pretend to be scared. I think I can manage that. Anyway, it's pretty clever they've decided to set up the inside of the warehouse. I'm sure most of it was Essa's idea. Only bits and pieces are in there so far, but painted sheets are draped from overhead to form walls and corridors, wiggling all around the inside of the space in unpredictable directions. Sometimes the path broadens into fake rooms, some with furniture piled there already, where something spooky must be planned to happen to each group of customers. Cormac has me start right in the doorway where customers will begin their journey through the haunted house. Creepy music starts playing from somewhere. The Victorian tragedy theme is pretty obvious from the start. Everything is in gloomy grays. There's a backdrop painted with foggy trees. The rooms where there's furniture, fake cobwebs draped all around those neat little knickknacks. I bet Essa thrifted these from somewhere just for the haunt. Or maybe they're from Morag's house. She seems like the kind of person who would own lots of dusty antiques, right? I feel like I should have read Wuthering Heights to get in the mood for this at any rate. I know Essa have been working really hard on the costumes the last few days, but I can't imagine how they're gonna look. Surely if they're trying to clothe an entire warehouse's worth of actors, the quality can't be that good. Not that I can see any of the costumes in here yet, though. None of the demi-humans who will be actors are here yet, or if they are, they're outside on lunch break with everyone else. Instead, as I round the first corner of the constructed hallway, I hear running footsteps past me, and I can almost see a shape zoom past the other side of the hung-up sheet that blocks off this corridor from the rest of the room. That would have been spooky if I didn't know exactly whose footsteps those belonged to. Boo! Cormac jumps out right from behind the corner and pretend to be scared even though I 100% saw this coming. I must do a good job because he starts giggling immediately. Got you, Sleuthbot. You sure did! That's not how good night, though. Essa's voice emerges from somewhere, but I can't see them, probably managing all the sound effects from the little hidey hole in the set. He's just filling in. Where you are now, the first room, there will be a spooky voice calling the group forward, and then someone hiding at the coat rack will give him a spook. Cormac disappears again behind a fold in one of the sheets, and then I keep walking through various rooms set up to look like a spooky old mansion. The roundabout path makes the warehouse feel even bigger than the inside than it already did, and before long, I feel disoriented with all the twists and turns, even though I've been here before and I can see where I'm going. But ultimately, it's not really that scary in here yet. With Cormac's frantic footsteps, he tries to stay ahead of me to fill in for all the actors, and all the daylight streaming in from the skylight and the roof. Essa misses the timing on a few of the sound effects too, but that happens to the best of us. Apparently, since during the real thing, they'll be busy spooking people using their statue forms in one of the rooms. The sound line should be managed by someone else with superhuman senses to be able to time things just right. This demi-human stuff really does come in handy for a production like this, huh? Then, towards the end, the haunt ventures outside. Towards the back of the warehouse, Cormac appears at my elbow suddenly and gestures at the door in front of me, where he explains Morag will be playing her part, the Black Stallion of the Moor. as he puts it at least, or I imagine Morag is really hardly stoked about being called a stallion, but I've learned better than to ask by now. The rear yard of the warehouse is where Morag will chase the group of customers around with the crescendo of the haunt, then she funnels them back through the roller door at the end of the warehouse into a corridor safely back into the front of the building. Amazed how scary Morag can be in her horse form, Sleep thought. I'm not sure I would, actually. She's already pretty scary out of her horse form, too. Cormac leads me down the last spooky corridor, relatively unadorned since it's after the climax of the show, though there are still big cobwebs in every corner. Then we emerge in the front yard. That was fun. I know, right? Let me know what you think. Any changes we need to make? I mean, I wasn't really scared, but it's hard to tell since so much wasn't final. Seemed fine to me apart from all the light in there and the few sound errors. Sorry, I'm fixing that now. As usual, Eth's voice echoes seemingly out of nowhere. I make a mental note to go see where they've been hiding all this time. How can they hear me from everywhere in the building? After my mystery tour of the house itself, I'm relegated outside to the communal snack table, making sure everything is kept full and the water bottles are cold. I get the feeling the committee is really reaching to find things to occupy me with, but I don't mind that so much, really. Besides, I get to watch as a lizard demi-human wanders up and starts absolutely going to town on a plate of insects, but I hadn't even noticed were there, so I must be doing a terrible job of snack table maintenance. They don't seem to see me behind the table at first, though one of their sucker padded feet is clinging to the tabletop. Are they nervous? As I try to make as soon as I try to make eye contact, they wrench the plate away and scurry up behind a corner out of sight. Wow. Just like the tiny lizard in my yard, they run away easy. At least their tail didn't drop off when I spooked them. Then a leprechaun and Harvey, whose bird parts look almost magpie-ish, walk past the snack table holding hands. It looks like the leprechaun is doing magic tricks with one of his gold coins, making it appear and disappear with a flick of his fingers in his free hand. Harvey can't take her eyes off the coin. She seems delighted to watch her companion's dexterity. Eventually, the leprechaun appears to pull it from her ear and presents it to her with a little nod. She takes it with a grin, then bends down to give him a kiss, which looks like he happily returns, so she whips out a wing, screening both of them from prying eyes, like mine. Still, I can't help but smile. That was cute. Soon after that, it occurs to me I never even asked what Cormac's role in the haunted house is, if he has one at all. I seem to remember Essa saying that there'd be a statue somewhere, and Morag is outside in horse form terrorizing groups near the end of the haunt path. But Cormac, I have no idea. Eventually, after finishing for info from a few demi-humans still wandering past to grab snacks, I learned that Cormac's job isn't just overseeing like I thought. He'll be spooking people by growling and making wolf-shaped shadows in one of the early rooms using his canine form. Even with all the spooky poetry, I kind of forgot his wolf form was meant to be scary, to be honest. I've been imagining he's more of a big dog than a spooky wolf. Still, I suppose anything can be scary when you can't see it head on. Either way, it's pretty clear nepotism if you ask me. All three committee members getting starring roles in production itself, fishy. I'm startled out of the Riviera by Cormac, who comes bounding past a rush. Pizza's here! I almost forgot we fed a solid meal as well as snacks. Nice! And what, it's dinner time already? It's amazing how quickly the evening came up. When I look up, the sky is turning a dusky twilight blue. I check my watch, only an hour and a half until the haunt itself begins. I stack some empty bowls on the table to clear space, and not a moment too soon as Cormac comes by again with a towering stack of pizza boxes. He's followed by a crowd of demi-humans all chatting amongst themselves. The pizza boxes are flipped open. I knew I wouldn't recognize the logo, as some of the pizzas are topped with all sorts of things, like bugs, seaweed, some weird purple vegetable that I'm not sure I've ever seen before. Pretty sure you don't get that kind of thing from my usual pizza place. Eseth walks by and grabs a slice with purple stuff on it. I love Eseth's design, they look so nice. Demon-O's always makes the best pizza. What's the purple stuff? Mandrake, wanna try some? Maybe not. I don't know how my stomach will react to mythical vegetables. Even though I now know where the first aid kit is, I don't think now's the time to try it out. I opt for a safer slice of Hawaiian instead. Before too long, the buzz of happy chatter turns into the buzz of purposeful chatter. People start trickling back inside, going to finish up the last bit of getting ready. I help a three-tailed kitsune pack the snack table away and take a moment to catch my breath as she heads in. It's possibly the last free minute I'll have for the rest of the night, and I'm damn well gonna use it to steady myself. Inhale, hold, exhale. Okay, this is it. It's almost time. I can hear groups of customers start to gather outside, chattering excitingly, though they seem to be kept well under control by the crowd-wrangling crew. The inside of the warehouse is a hive of activity. Demi-humans everywhere, some running to fetch last-minute props, others still putting on makeup and costumes. I make a concerted effort to not accidentally stare at anyone as they're getting changed. I managed to catch the committee members as they're having one last quick meeting 10 minutes before showtime. So, did anyone ever decide what I'm doing through the haunt? Cormac looks nervous. It's weird. The expression doesn't sit right on his face. I'm used to seeing him smiling. Kind of. Turns out everyone we expecting actually did show up. which has literally never happened before.
So we can't have you fill in for any of them.
Long story short, all the fun jobs were taken, Sleuth thought. But you are the rookie. You should be expecting to do some grunt work.
Grunt work? I mean, I'm happy to do it, but that sounds intense. I mean, it's cool. What am I gonna do?
You're this year's Hobbit under the stairs.
What?
It's a super special role. You're making sure nobody gets hurt if they try to go up in second story landing.
Sounds special. People tend to ignore it if we just try and block off the stairwell with tape or anything because they think whatever we block is part of the haunt. The landing is kind of falling apart, so it's pretty dangerous. Our first year customer nearly fell right into another group of guests.
See, pretty important, right?
Okay, so what do I do then? Stand in the way and tell people to get lost, or up to you?
Usually people prefer to hide in a little cubbyhole underneath the stairs so people can't see them, then only if need be. That way people don't think they're an actor and come up to interact with them when they don't have any lines or spooks prepared. It's almost time. Any last questions, Sleuth thought?
Haven't really given any time to think of any, but I don't think so.
That's the spirit.
Why not just, like, cover the stairs with shit? Like, you could block it off. You don't have to put tape, but you could actually, like, just put shit in front of it. Essa shepherds me over to the far corner of the building, winding through sets and past all the demi-humans, getting into their places. Then I scurry into the hiding place under the stairs. Not sure if the cobwebs under here are fake or not, but I can't bring myself to check. The normal house lights in the ceiling get switched off, so everyone must be ready and in place. It's eerie how quiet the building gets up. I can still hear the noise from the crowd outside near the ticket booth, and I can somehow still feel that there's a lot of people in here with me, but I can't hear anything at all. Then the creepy music from before starts to play. I can just hear the footsteps from here as the first group enters the first corridor. Then they start screaming. They must have gotten into the first room near where Cormac is. It's kind of fun to follow them around in my mind's eye, remembering pieces from my own tour of the haunt earlier. Through their version must be scarier with all the yelling they're doing. Well, it's fun for the first few groups anyway, before I start to get a little bored. Even when the customers do get this part of the haunt, they tend to ignore this area entirely, so I can only listen to and wait in my spot under the stairs. Not to be ungrateful, I'm glad they found something for me to do at least, but I feel like my part in the haunted house could be played just as easily by a wall, or a few milk crates put into strategic places. Well, whatever, it's been a big exhausting few days leading up to this, and I've been busy today too, so it's nice to sit down for a while and listen while the others have their crowning moment. Seems to be going well, at least. I can hear giggles and screams echoing around the building pretty much constantly, as well as neighs and hoofbeats from Morag outside, and whoever is the sound desk doesn't seem to have missed a single cue yet. I'm more surprised that I haven't heard Cormac come out of character and yell boo at anyone yet, but I haven't heard a peep from him once, coloring me surprised. I just let my eyes fall closed, only to rest them, I swear, when I heard something off to my left. Peeping just slightly out of my hiding place, I spot a group of haunties, or as Esseth calls them, coming around the bend and to the stairwell. Unlike the group before them, the footsteps don't continue on to the rest of the haunted house, and the closer they get, the more I realize they're giggling a lot and their walking seems unsteady. They're drunk, basically. With them en route to the forbidden stairs, I suddenly have to stop being sleepy and decide how best to deal with the situation. My one responsibility during the whole haunt. No pressure! If you make noises, then they're gonna think that they're going in the right direction. Despite all the acting going on in this haunted house, I think I'd feel silly pretending to make a spooky noise. And I haven't had any practice. What if they didn't buy it? So I hold myself to my feet and out from under the staircase, right in front of the spookies as they mill around the bottom of the stairs when I'm already starting to climb. The group all goes still as here lights, expecting me to say boo. This area's off limits just for your info. The rest of the haunt is that way. For a minute, I think it's working. A few of them look towards where I pointed, but the group doesn't budge. One of them tentatively walks a little close to me, their eyes really wide. You're not part of the haunt, are you? Are you a ghost? I have to try really hard and not give Morag S-sign in response. Yeah, I'm a ghost. The one who asks the question jumps away with me with a squeak, and the rest of their friends follow suit. They're much less enthusiasm. That's why you're not allowed in this area. Staircase is haunted. Now scram. With a yelp, the leader of the bunch goes barreling down the corridor away from me, and they're soon all out of sight. Wow, I can't believe that worked. Sort of. Thankfully, the rest of my watch is pretty quiet. Damn, these people be scared by anything? I need to discourage another set of spookies from poking around the stairs, but they're less of a challenge than the first set. Feels like the haunt goes pretty quickly, except my legs are sore from being cramped up under the stairs for so long, and this droning spooky music is really starting to get on my nerve. The music fades as the last group comes down the rear corridor to the outside, and after their last screams and laughter echo in the warehouse, there's a few moments of stillness, and then all hell breaks loose. Laughing, yelling, running footsteps as people finally get to break their hiding places to go and celebrate. It's loud all of a sudden, but so joyful. I can't stop smiling. I only had a small part of the day, I guess, but it was nice to be a part of a team working towards something, and it's been really great to get to know the committee members, even if it was kind of a whirlwind. I almost don't know how to feel now that it's all over. What are you doing down there? It's a cyclops with bright pink hair. I think I've seen her around talking to Morag. She pokes her head around to see the side of the hallway and looks down at me. Just sitting? There's a party about to start. Stop moping and hurry up. She disappears after that, dashing out of sight. I take her advice, stretching the kinks out of my legs as I work myself into a hiding place and try to remember how to stand up. The haunted house has been over for all of 2 minutes, but I start making my way through the backyard. Things already feel very different in here. The regular lights are back on, for one thing, and I can still hear some customers chattering out front to the crew of succubi who have been managing the crowd. There's groups of demi-humans clustered around the warehouse itself, too. I pass by a room full of what looks like vampires in one of the rooms that used to be a spooky dining room. I say used to, but it still kind of is. They match the scenery all too well, sat around the table drinking some kind of red liquid out of china teacups. I don't look too closely into any of the cups after that. In the corridor after that, there are doll-like people regaling each other with their best spooks from the haunt, and then each room holds a sleepy pile of bear people then the next room holds a sleepy pile of bear people already asleep on top of one of the prop beds. It's kind of groaning under their weight, but the whole scene is so cute I can't bear to wake any of them, even if there's convenient porridge there on the table. Finally, once I made it outside, I can see that someone has already started a bonfire in the yard. In fact, it's raging. The flames are half as tall as the warehouse behind me and climbing. Either there's magic involved here or someone poured a whole lot of flammable liquid on the kindling. The flames are getting a little too close to the overhead power lines for comfort, but I'm sure one of them demi-humans here has fire magic or something, right? Everything's probably under control. Unless it's Cormac who lit that fire, in which case I'm probably right to be concerned. Just like the inside, people are already together in groups out here celebrating, some of them very sleepily since the haunted house took a lot out of them. I spot Ethith near a table under the eaves, in the middle of a very chaotic game of beer pong. The table is wonky, and the insect person taking their turn right now is totally cheating because they're using the extra set of arms to drop a ball from above instead of bouncing it in. In fact, if I look closely, I can see a few of Eth's snakes are holding ping pong balls in their mouths, which is very cute, but I hope they don't throw them all at once. So I thought, come play. Hey S, maybe later though. I think I'm a little too human to be competitive at that table, but we'll see how brave I get later on. I was never a serious party animal or anything, but it's a nice atmosphere out here. People are laughing, singing, standing by the fire. Someone's even busted out a guitar, and it's playing what looks like a very dexterous wing claws. There's demi-humans of all shapes and colors. None of them seem to bat an eyelid at me, but they probably think I'm a demi-human too, since some of them pass for human pretty well. But either way, it's nice to feel so welcome if a little strange. Salute thought! Cormac skids into view, a cup of something in his hand, somehow even more excitable than ever. Cormac, hey, I can't believe none of you mentioned there'd be a party afterwards. Really, I can't believe it either. It's the best part. Since Morag and I celebrate Samhain, we've always had a little party after the haunted house is over, but it's gotten bigger over the years. Like most things about Warehouse, so I've heard. Just wait until Morag brings the cake out later. Cake, this day just gets better and better. Cormac and I mosey toward the bonfire, where he quickly gets whisked away from me by an excited group of other demi-humans, but I don't mind. I can easily occupy myself with watching all the interesting kinds of monster folk milling around, and by devouring the remains of the catering order currently being demolished by the hungry haunters. After the fire died down somewhat, I hear excited voices from the back toward the building. The cake! Oh my god, I'm so full already! A crowd is already beginning to form around the warehouse door. Morag is halfway through the sentence by the time I manage to squeeze close enough to hear her. And as some of you know, we bake a traditional barn brat cake at the end of every warehouse as part of our Halloween celebration. And by we, I mean me. I peek over the heads of the crowd. It's not the kind of ice monstrosity expected. It looks like bread and cake, dotted with raisins and baked in a wide, flat tray in order to feed the entire horde. Whoever finds a coin in their slice is gonna have good luck for the rest of the year, particularly with money. Please chew carefully and don't swallow the thing for crying out loud. Okay, go! She clearly anticipated the onslaught and backed away quickly into the building because the group rushes for the tray with startling ferocity. I managed to snag a slightly battered slice after most of the crowd has dissipated. It's me, I got it! I can hear Cormac's excited voice from all the way across the yard. I can't help but smile. He worked surprisingly hard to make this happen after all, so I'm happy for him. No doubt any money he does get will go straight into making next year's haunt and even bigger than the last. My slice of cake and I head back towards the fire, finding a spot on the empty bench upwind so the smoke doesn't get in my eyes. To be honest, the cake tastes more like bread too. I'm not entirely convinced it isn't bread masquerading under a cake banner, but I'm not complaining. There's something homey about the taste of it. An controversial opinion, but I like raisins. Just looking at the flames is making me feel all sleepy and content. Besides, I'm tired. It might have been 3 and a bit days since I stumbled across the committee in the yard, but it feels like I've done weeks worth of work and socializing in those days. The party's already winding down around me, everyone's manic energy settling down into lazily telling stories and catching up. I know the feeling. Time for a rest. I think we've all earned it, though I definitely know I'm gonna miss this place already. I hope that this time next year we're all together again, and I'm still honorary human committee member. Not only did I make some great friends at Halloween, hopefully the wage check will get my family off my back for a few weeks. Hey, maybe Halloween isn't so bad after all. Ending ones. Friend with the fiendish folk. I love that so much. Disappointed that I did Cormac's ending.
We're gonna make another run through real quick, figure out the fuck to get Cormac's ending, cause, I also didn't save through that entire thing, but I'm sure there's a skip function.
My thoughts are suddenly interrupted by a loud voice behind me.
Hey, Slutha, do you want to go out with me?
What? Go where? I'm too startled by his appearance out of nowhere to properly phrase the question.
Right, that was too sudden. Let me start this again. Cormac takes the seat next to me. My heart rate, which began to slow down in recovery from the shock, speeds up again as he gently takes my hand in his. I want to say that I've really liked working with you over the past few days. I know that I can sometimes get too excited about new ideas without fully thinking them through, but you're a lot more down to earth. I got so much more work done the last year because you were there to explain different viewpoints and keep me focused when I got distracted. You're the exact kind of person I need in my life to bring out the best in me. And like I said, I think you're really hot too, so do you want to go on a date? I smile as I watch a reflection of the bonfire dancing in his bright green eyes. I'd love to. Awesome.
The big grin on his face, he throws an arm around me and I rest my head on his shoulder. So when do you want to go out?
Well, we have a lot of work to do cleaning everything up tomorrow, but maybe the day after that?
Okay, but we're absolutely not meeting up early in the morning again. It's going to be noon at the very earliest.
But I wanted to go out for breakfast and get some more coffee.
Cormac, you know there are lots of all-day breakfast places, right? We can do that any time of day.
Really cool. That's so cute. That's so fucking cute.
So breakfast at noon the day after tomorrow then?
Sure, I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. He pulls me closer, and I wrap my arm around his waist as we relax the glow of the bonfire. The choice this date is absolutely maniac. The choice to date this absolute maniac might just be about to turn my life completely upside down, but I think I'll enjoy it anyway. Hey, maybe Halloween isn't so bad after all.
That was so cute.
That was so cute. I love him so much. I will have this game linked in the description. I implore you to go check it out. It's only $5. I think that's a pretty good price. It's a really cute game. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye!